Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Akron-Canton Regional Foodbank Hunger for Harvest campaign kickoff breakfast, which will hopefully be the longest sentence I have to say all morning. I'm Amanda Montgomery, and I have the honor of being this year's chair of the Board of Directors for the Food Bank. And it is my pleasure to welcome you all here this morning. I know I speak for the entire board when I say we are deeply grateful for the community of supporters who help the Food Bank do their work all year long. We are grateful for each of you. A few housekeeping items before we get started. When you picked up your name tag at registration, you should have gotten a voucher for the parking garage. When you leave, take that voucher and the ticket that you pulled and give that to the attendant when you leave. I'm assuming if you did not get a voucher that there are still some at the registration table on your way out. The other housekeeping item is before leaving today, please be sure to pick up a Food and Fun Drive coordinator kit. They're at the table just outside the door here. So that you have all of the materials needed to kick off your campaigns. Thank you for your support of this important initiative for the Food Bank. Before we move into the program, I'd like to take a moment to introduce some of our special guests here with us this morning. First, I'd like to begin by recognizing my colleagues on the Food Bank's Board of Directors. Board members, will you please give a wave? Now I saw Dan, Jonathan, Kristen, Greg was here. Thank you for your continued commitment to the Food Bank. Next, I'd like to introduce our 2023 Harvest for Hunger campaign co-chairs. Burnett L. Williams is the Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer and Vice President for Community Initiatives at Akron Children's Hospital, and we'll be hearing from Burnett in a few moments. Unfortunately, our campaign chair, Mark Sterling, CEO of Beaver Constructors, could not be with us this morning, but his daughter and president of Beaver Constructors, Betsy Sterling, is with us this morning. Thank you, Betsy. To the elected officials with us this morning, could you please give a wave? Thank you for your support, not just of the Food Bank, but of the community as well. We'd like to give a special thank you to our title sponsors for this year's breakfast, Beaver Constructors, Huntington National Bank, NJM Insurance, and State and Federal Communications. We'd like to thank our media partners for their support. They help us tell the stories of our food bank and the people that we serve. A special thank you to Mike Shearer and Mindy Cannon with the Akron Beacon Journal, and Rick Armand and Christine Shade with the Canton Repository for your collaboration and support. We're grateful for your partnerships. And lastly, we'd like to thank all the hunger relief partners here with us today, some who drove many miles to join us. We're so grateful for the work that you do on the front lines every day fighting hunger. Would our network partners please stand to be recognized? Thank you all for being here and choosing to support your food bank and our local relief efforts. Our food bank couldn't do this work without all of you. Now I'd like to introduce the Food Bank's president and CEO, our friend Dan Flowers.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Wow. This is a wonderful crowd that we have for this breakfast today, and I am so honored and delighted to welcome you here to the 32nd Annual Harvest for Hunger campaign kickoff. Yes, it's a big deal. Amanda, thank you so much for getting our program started and for your faithful and capable leadership. And I understand your mom is going to be here this morning. Is this your mom? Okay, Mom, your daughter did a great job, didn't she? We love her. Thank you for coming. And of course, it's my pleasure to welcome all of you here today. I look out in the crowd and I see so many great friends of the food bank, so many of you that have been faithful for just decades and decades. I see John Nicholas is here. John chaired the search committee that hired me here 20 years ago, was the first person I ever talked to from Akron, Ohio. And I've always been grateful to John. And it's just an indication to me of the faithfulness and longevity in the relationships and support that the food bank is so blessed to have from so many people in the community. I know many of you here have been supporting the food bank, not just since I've been here, but long before I arrived 20 years ago. And we are tremendously humbled and grateful for that. Harvest for Hunger always takes place right on the cusp of springtime. And I think that this campaign was started to be a spring campaign for that exact reason. I don't know, but it's always a sign of the seasons for me. So many times we've had this kickoff on an Ash Wednesday, as the ribbon cutting for our pantry was last week at Ash Wednesday. But we've kicked off this campaign on Ash Wednesday a lot. You'd see people come and having clearly just been to Mass. And as the campaign progresses, we pass through Lent and St. Patrick's Day, the holiest of Irish holidays coming up. And you can repurpose your Harvest for Hunger green at St. Patrick's Day. You should know that. We do at the food bank. But then, of course, Passover and Easter. And the arrival of the daffodils, I saw some this weekend, and they've always been my most favorite plant because they're the most courageous and hardy signs of the change in seasons. And we wrap up this campaign in May with summer right around the corner. So for those of you that are weary of winter and looking forward to the promise of spring, I want to invite you today to join us now in focusing on making this campaign everything that it can be so that we can take care of the food bank and its mission to serve people all year through. It's worthy and it's good work, and it's fun. It should be fun, and it's good for the soul. So let's all get after it and make this campaign a great success. Thank you. We have to. The Harvest for Hunger campaign is the food bank's largest annual fundraising campaign. It makes millions of pounds of food free to hunger relief partners across the region. It is itself a regional campaign, operated simultaneously by 4 food banks in Northeast Ohio. Its scale, the name recognition of the Harvest for Hunger campaign, and the wide coalition of partners that support it provides our region with a distinguishing anchor in the fight against hunger that really does set Northeast Ohio apart when compared to other markets across the country. We know that when we're properly nourished, we can participate in everything life has to offer. We're healthier, we can work, and we can contribute more meaningfully, of course, to the world around us. And if you're anything like me, we're a lot easier to get along with on a full stomach. You know, although I say that somewhat in jest, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Have you ever driven across the turnpike with a hungry 4-year-old? Yeah, I have. Andy right here. He would go crazy. My son Andy's here today, and my wife Holly, so lovely, are with us. But, you know, we've all been around people that get, what's the term, hangry? Yeah. Well, that's a real thing. You know, that's distressing. And oftentimes a person, when they're in that place, can create and build tension in the car on the way across the turnpike or anywhere you may be. And I think that those little ripples of tension create stress in people's lives that I'm on a mission to alleviate. And I'll tell you that if we were able to do nothing more in this work than simply help people avoid the frustration and anger that can oftentimes come in and complicate a family because people haven't had enough food to eat, I think it would be a worthy mission in and of itself. But we know that food does much, much more than just help lift our moods. Over the years, I've come to enjoy using this occasion to give a general report to the community about some of those things, about what's happening at the food bank. And so today, later in the program, I'll be back, and I'm going to run down through some things that we're excited to share with you, and we'll talk a little bit about the food bank's future. But recently, while Amanda, our board chair, and I were reflecting together about 2022, she asked me which was harder, 2020, the first year of the pandemic, or 2022. And I didn't have to think long about my answer. It was 2022. That was the hardest year of my career. Not because of the number of hours that we worked, that doesn't bother me. But the sheer volume of bad news related to the labor market and supply chain disruptions and donation shortages and inflations, it just felt like we couldn't get any momentum going. And we had to battle like never before to keep food on the menu. I've never seen anything like it. There were times this past year in 2022 when our food list was the shortest I've seen it in my 20 years here. It was a scary time. But we worked like crazy throughout the year to get and stay fully staffed and to implement new strategies to find food. And as the saying goes, the harder we worked, the luckier we got. In the fourth quarter, things started coming around, and we're continuing to see inventory levels increase at the food bank just in time as pandemic-related SNAP, or what used to be called the food stamp program, the SNAP program benefits expire in March. Many Ohio families will be experiencing a $90 per person decrease in their food benefits. And the food bank is already mobilizing to prepare resources and distribution partners in place to respond to that change. And we expect it's going to have a really big impact on people's lives. And this Harvest for Hunger campaign is a vital part of our ability to do that and so many other things that we've done in the community over the years. And to tell you more about Harvest for Hunger, I'd like to welcome our co-chair, Burnett Williams. Burnett served on the Food Bank's board of directors for 9 years. She's been a leader in this community for a very long time, and she's a person of tremendous integrity in class, a great friend, a great mom, and we love Burnett so much, and so we're so glad to have you. Come on up, Burnett. How about a round of applause for Burnett? And also, Betsy, we're so glad to have you with us this morning, and Burnett is going to get us started, and I think Betsy's going to take it over from there. So take it away. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be with you again this year. This is my second year as campaign co-chair for Harvest for Hunger, and I'm just thrilled. When Dan reached out to me, it wasn't a matter of getting to yes, it was yes, of course. After, as Dan mentioned, having served on the Food Bank board for a number of years and having been involved in this campaign and other efforts that our greater Akron-Canton Regional Foodbank has done and the excellent work that they do, and to see and experience sometimes what our families are able to, the benefits that they get from our food bank and the Harvest for Hunger campaign, this was a very easy yes. This campaign is centered around community collaboration, bringing together 4 regional food banks to fight hunger across 21 Northeast Ohio counties. We partner with the Greater Cleveland Food Bank, Second Harvest Food Bank of Mahoning Valley, and Second Harvest Food Bank of North Central Ohio. This year's campaign goal for our food bank is to provide the equivalent of 4.5 million meals for our community by raising $112 million and collecting 100,000 pounds of food. And we're confident we can achieve this goal with your help. It's important to know that 100% of dollars raised in this campaign go toward providing food for people in need in our local communities. The campaign continues to be successful because of the faithful support of community organizations and businesses like yours. It always amazes me to see so many partners come together to rally behind one common cause: feeding people and fighting hunger. Collaboration is evident all throughout this campaign. One example is Check Out Hunger. Through our Check Out Hunger program, it's one of the easiest ways you can support the campaign. Our supermarket and retail partners come together throughout the spring. Their sales associates help collect financial donations from customers during checkout. Bueller's Fresh Foods, Dave's Supermarkets, Fisher's Foods, Giant Eagle, Heinen's Fine Foods, and GetGo continue to champion our mission and lead fundraising efforts at the checkout register and the pump, so we're grateful for their efforts. We hope you will consider supporting Checkout Hunger. It begins this Sunday and runs through the spring. Simply tell your cashier you'd like to add $1, $5, $10 as part of your purchase. They make it very easy for us. In addition to Checkout Hunger, a key component of this campaign is the hundreds of food and fun drives organized by local organizations. Coordinating a drive is a great way to engage your employees and create a positive company culture, all while doing good work in our community. At our hospital, we do things such as cereal drive competitions, we've done idol singing competitions, we've done collections of peanut butter and jeans days to collect funds. You can be creative. In the past, some of our most successful drives have included companies that organize pancake breakfasts, dress-down days, or basket raffles. But with so many employees still working from home, you will have to get creative. So we're appreciative of the ingenuity and dedication we continue to see from campaign coordinators who plan virtual food drives and game nights and other creative fundraisers. The Food Bank has a variety of resources on our website for both traditional food and funds drives and virtual drives. Visit akroncantonfoodbank.org/harvest to learn more. So gather your friends, your coworkers, classmates, and hangout buddies and get involved. On your way out today, please stop by the table near the escalators to pick up a campaign coordinator kit full of helpful resources. I'd now like to introduce President of Beaver Constructors, Betsy Sterling. She will share more ways you can support this year's campaign. Betsy.
Good morning. I'm excited to be here with you this morning. It's so great to see all of you, the staff, and the facility glowing green for Harvest for Hunger. Though this is my first time here, I'm very familiar with the Food Bank and its work. Beaver has been supporting the Food Bank for decades. We were thrilled to partner on the construction of the Food Bank's new Stark County campus in 2021, and we're currently working on their Akron expansion. So we're long in the game with this fine organization and know deeply the impact of its work. That's why when the Food Bank asked us to get involved with Harvest for Hunger, our answer, like always, was absolutely. I think it's great to see how Harvest for Hunger campaign encourages collaboration among the Food Bank's 8-county service area. This truly is a community campaign that ignites so many entities across our region, and I'm proud to be affiliated with it. Our community is extremely generous, and this can be seen year after year in how it supports Harvest for Hunger, and I hope this year is no different. So I'd like to share more ways on how you can support the campaign. With a show of hands, how many of you have volunteered with the Food Bank? That's awesome, thank you. This is a great way to support Harvest for Hunger. The Food Bank depends on volunteers every single day. Last year, the volume of volunteer service to the Food Bank was more than $1.6 million. In 2022, 7,400 volunteers contributed more than 55,000 hours of service. That's incredible. Volunteers help sort and inspect donated food. They work in the food pantry in Canton. They drive to pick up and deliver food donations. They work at drive-through grocery distributions, and so much more. You can volunteer solo, with friends, with coworkers, or my personal favorite is with my children. So whether you volunteer once per year or once per week, please consider joining the Food Bank and volunteer services. Another way to support the campaign is by making a financial contribution. Every dollar donated helps provide enough food for 4 nourishing meals. so together we can make a big impact. I encourage any corporate leaders in the room to consider making a corporate gift, matching your employees' donations, and offering payroll deduction, making giving easy. So I'd like to challenge each and every one of you to help jumpstart this campaign right here, right now. Can everyone please look at the back of their programs? Okay, so now find your phone and be the first to donate by scanning the QR code on your book or on the screen, whatever you prefer, and let's kick off this campaign together. So thank you for being here and for supporting our food bank. I'd like to now welcome Dan back up to the lectern.
Thank you, Betsy. Good job. Thank you so much, Betsy and Burnett. We are so grateful for your leadership, and I have to say, Betsy's company, Beaver Excavators and Beaver Constructors, is a fantastic company. You've done extraordinary work for us. And the construction of our Canton facility and now the addition, thank you for your great leadership, the integrity of your company, and your capabilities. So we appreciate that. And as I mentioned earlier, how's everybody doing? There's a little temperature check. Okay, good. I'm so grateful to have you all here. And these I sit up here and the programs just fly by, and I'm like, did I tell them I love them yet? I really do. I really appreciate them. I hope they know that, because it's true. And we get one shot at this every year. One shot to bring, the folks that make the decisions that have such an impact on our food bank. And then, down the line, there's so many people that depend on this organization. It's overwhelming at times, to stand at these food giveaways and see these long lines of cars and to carry this, man, there's so many folks. I mean, thousands and thousands of people that struggle to make ends meet. And we get one shot to kick off this campaign and to make it a success during the year. And I think the staff feel a little of the pressure on that, and we should, because it's serious work. But I hope you know how deeply grateful we are for you. And it's my intention now to share a little bit about what we're doing with your support and as a result of your support. So I'm going to run down a few challenges here. A few slides. And if I get going too fast, and you want a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, just let me know, and I'm happy to send it to you. As you all know, the rising costs and inflation caused severe economic challenges for a lot of families last year. And the food bank saw a 14% increase in the number of people served by our pantry network, and 30% of the families we saw were new, meaning they never in their lives visited a food pantry ever before. They were not in our system. And what's remarkable to me is that at any time, you can look at any month statistics at the food bank, and you'll see between 15 and 30%, 30 being a pretty high number, percent of the people that come through having never been there before. There's a constant churning of people falling into poverty and food insecurity, coming into food pantries, getting back on their feet, and going back to their lives, and we never see them again. It happens. That is, in fact, the norm in this work. We are an emergency food provider. We opened the Keith D. Monda Family Food Pantry at our Stark County campus in 2021. And we anticipated serving about 100 families a week from that food pantry. But that program quickly became a flagship pantry in Canton. And last year, more than 600 people a week came and visited that pantry. It was more than 60,000 people throughout the course of the year. We served through that pantry with almost 500,000 pounds of food. And we have worked hard to fill gaps in the emergency food network created by the pandemic. 43 food programs closed in 2022 alone as a result of pandemic-related impacts, and that's a really big deal. Lack of funding, a difficulty finding volunteers, and et cetera. And so to offer support, the food bank stepped in and provided $1.7 million worth of capacity building resources for these charities through food and equipment and carts and microwaves and things of all kinds to help support our charities. And in addition to that, 79% of all of the food that passed through the food bank's warehouse last year went out to our 600 charities at absolutely no cost to them or anyone who received it. I'm very proud of that. That's a big deal. When I say that, I'm talking about $30 to $35 million worth of food given away for free in this community as a way to fight food insecurity and poverty at the same time. And it's a very significant scale the food bank has achieved, and I couldn't be more proud of what we've accomplished together. The perseverance of the food bank and our hunger relief partners, bolstered by your unwavering support, drove incredible impact in the community in 2022. And together, we distributed the equivalent of 23.3 million meals last year, over 30 million pounds of food, including 6.9 million pounds of fresh and nutritious produce. And there were a whole lot of other things for us to be proud of. Partnering with many people in this room today, we hosted 63 food distributions with our mobile pop-up pantry. It's a truck with roll-up sides like a beverage delivery truck. And we take it to parking lots all over the community and roll up the sides, and we serve people at senior centers and in different parking lots. Nearly 11,000 people were served on that program alone last year. We collaborated with local farms and Produce Perks Midwest to deliver fresh produce from local farms directly to people's doorsteps. A program we're really proud of. More than 26,000 food boxes were assembled at the food bank and delivered directly to people's homes through our home delivery program last year. And our pantry was chosen as one of the first food banks in the nation to pilot an online ordering program so that people can select the food items that go in their food boxes. Now, we are leading the country in extending that platform to food bank partners and charities like those in the room today, with hopes of scaling the Order Ahead program far and wide. These programs, meeting people where they are, demonstrate our commitment to equity. Equity to us means equal access to opportunities and resources that people need to live healthy and hunger-free lives. And I can't think of a better program that expresses that priority more clearly than the Order Ahead program and the Home Delivery program. Other programmatic milestones include serving 24,000 people at our drive-through distributions with more than 500,000 pounds of food. How many times have you driven down Main Street or driven down Opportunity Parkway and seen an army of volunteers standing out in the food bank and lines stretching around Bartage Avenue down to Main Street, sometimes all the way to the spaghetti warehouse? Our staff and volunteers and the National Guard standing on this parking lot in all kinds of weather. We had one day where we had all 4 seasons in one food distribution out there in that parking lot. We've seen it all, the hugs, the smiles, the diversity of the people that come through the lines. It's a fantastic experience, and if you've never volunteered at the food bank, we want to invite you to come down, especially now. Winter's a tough time. If you're feeling lonely, you can come down, and we'll be your friend if you need a friend. If you need a hug, you can get a hug, but we'd love to have you come and join us at one of these food distributions. We really got into the food box making business during the pandemic. We weren't really doing that much of that prior to the pandemic, but I mentioned 26,000 food boxes for home delivery that we did last year. We also built 21,000 food boxes for seniors through the Commodity Supplemental Food Program, which was a 14% increase from last year. So we built about 50,000 food boxes in our warehouse with volunteers who come in and help us do that. We served more than 13,000 children every single month through backpack and after-school programs that we help supply. We hosted 170 sessions at our Altman Health Foundation resource room, connecting nearly 1,000 neighbors to resources beyond food, like legal assistance and mental health resources. And a project we're really excited to get off the ground last year was partnering with 3 local hospitals, Summa Health Systems, the Cleveland Clinic, Akron General, and Akron Children's Hospital, to open food pantries in those hospitals to address health disparities and improve food access. And we're so grateful for those partners. Could our friends from Akron General and Summa Health Systems and Akron Children raise your hand so we can give you a round of applause? Thank you so much. Yeah. It's so cool to see community partners come together and make these things happen. Obviously, food insecurity drives a lot of other issues in people's lives and affects our health in so many ways. So 2022 was a year marked by innovation and collaboration. And I do want to pause and just recognize our incredible staff who have been so faithful and loyal. Can staff members that are in the room this morning just raise your hand or stand up, throw us a wave so we can give you a round of applause? We love you so much. You're the real deal. We have a great, great crew. And so while we were doing all of these things this year, the food bank embarked upon the final phase of our capital campaign. The campaign that funded the construction of the new food bank in Stark County, and if you haven't visited it yet, we'd love to have you down. It, I believe, is the finest new constructed food bank in the country. But we're also now starting renovation of our Akron facility. And after a lot of setbacks and with great effort, we broke ground in Akron in November. The project features a new network partner welcome center, which agencies here I think you'll really enjoy, and a distribution dock on the south side of the building. Our freezer and cooler capacity is going to be doubled, which is something we're very excited about. And we're excited also to add a food pantry on site similar to the one that we're operating at our Stark County campus. In January, friends gathered at the food bank and supporters of the campaign and signed a 21-foot beam that's already been mounted high on the distribution center. And their names that day were signed to a legacy that goes on far beyond ourselves and its impact to the community. So, we look forward to continuing to update you and maybe show you some pictures next year at our Harvest for Hunger kickoff of the Akron facility expansion when it's complete. In 2016, I stood here at this breakfast and I unpacked our Food Bank 2020 strategic plan. The plan was the birthplace of many of the achievements we've been discussing this morning, but that plan concluded in 2020, before a pandemic would stretch us in ways we never thought possible. We discovered, when we really stepped back and considered our position, that we experienced as many as 10 years of regular growth during those 2 years during the pandemic. We just did it. We just responded to what was in front of us. And we have emerged a much stronger and a much different food bank than we went into the pandemic as being. And although our plate was more than full going into 2022, we knew it was time to get back into planning mode and set the stage for our work ahead. We found a terrific planning partner in Michael Devon of A Through Services, and the work began to create our new strategic plan. We engaged in countless conversations with families receiving food. This is something that means so much to our food bank. The voices of people who are experiencing food insecurity are paramount in our considerations and our service for people. We talked to our hunger relief partners. We talked to volunteers and donors and community leaders, many of you that are in this room today, to collaboratively develop a new strategic plan that moves us closer to our vision of a thriving community that's free of hunger. Time and time again, during the conversations that we had in our strategic planning process, we heard that the food bank not only rose to the challenge during the past few years, but it surpassed expectations. The message we received loud and clear was stay focused on what you're doing. Do it more, do it better. That's why the focus of our new strategic plan is to deepen our impact. And that is precisely what we intend to do. Our 3-year strategic plan, Deepening Our Impact, focuses on 5 key areas: our food bankers, our food bank, our investors, our communities, and our neighbors. And I'd like to take a moment to walk through these areas starting from the inside out. our work ahead for our food bankers and our food bank. As you know, the pandemic strained society as a whole, and it put a ton of pressure on the workforce. I still think it's put a lot of pressure on the workforce, and I think it shows up in a lot of ways, sometimes in missed days of work and depression. But we're not out of it yet. The food bank was not spared the hardship of the Great Resignation. We experienced more turnover last year than we've ever had in our history. And at the same time, we were transferring a lot of staff members from Akron to work at our new Canton facility, and we were hiring a lot of new folks to fill jobs. And as a result, we have a lot of new people and processes that we need to take time to focus on and develop. And so to improve retention, staff connectedness, and wellness, we'll continue to work really, really hard and make it a top priority to create a culture and drive a culture that creates engagement and joy for our staff, while also investing in professional development opportunities. We simply can't have a best-in-class organization without best-in-class people, and we take that very seriously. And that's my advice to nonprofits in the room, to take very seriously your approach to your staffs and your people. Without the best people, you can't have the best organizations, and it's worth your donors' money and their support to make sure that you have the best possible people, because that's what drives results for the mission. Another focus area in the new plan is our food bank. One lesson the pandemic made perfectly clear is how important it is to have resources in place before disasters strike, and that affects our ability to respond. The infrastructure investments made possible through our capital campaign will enhance operations of the food bank for decades to come, and we need to stay focused on completing that work and ramping up programming over the next couple years. Now, one of the great joys of the past few years for me, and really of my career, has been watching executives on our team rise and lead through so many challenges. And there's a saying that I love that goes, "The builder builds the building, while the building builds the builder." So Betsy, a little tongue twister for your business. The builders build the building, while the process of building builds the builders. And the two leaders you're about to hear from represent that saying in so many ways. Colleen Benson, who's up next, rose and took the reins of our development department at the start of 2022. And she's done incredible work ensuring that the food bank has the support and resources it needs to fulfill its mission. After Colleen's remarks, you'll hear from Katie Carver-Reed. Katie was named vice president and second in command at the food bank this past December. And Colleen and Katie are going to take you through the other focus areas in our strategic plan. And Katie's going to bring our program home with some personal reflections of her own. Katie and Colleen are both leaders of tremendous class and integrity and grit. And it's my honor now to welcome Colleen Benson to the lectern. Colleen, come on up.
Thank you, Dan. How about Dan? 20 years in his 20th year of service to this community. What an honor. So thank you, and happy Harvest for Hunger kickoff, friends. We're so grateful to spend this time together with about 400 of our greatest friends and advocates in the room. It's very exciting, as well as some friends joining us virtually. So if I could ask everyone to just turn around and give a wave to people joining us online. Shout out to the staff and volunteers back at the Akron campus and at our Stark County campus watching us as well. So thank you. One of the greatest joys of this work is having the opportunity to be amongst all of you, because you are the doers, you are the collaborators, you are our greatest investors, truly. It's fitting so then that I highlight the next two focus areas in our strategic plan, our investors and our communities. So the food bank could not provide more than 23 million meals in our community without the companies that donate millions of pounds of food each year. The volunteers who donate their time and the many individuals, organizations, corporations, and foundations who invest financially in our work. We are grateful for the many ways our community members invest in our work, and we vow to never take these investors for granted. So to deepen our impact with our investors, first, we will continue to celebrate and engage our army of volunteers. Some of the greatest people I know and love are volunteers at the food bank. And extraordinary generosity is on display every single day. People choose to spend their time with us at the food bank. And so we are launching a new recognition program for our most dedicated volunteers, our can-do crew. And we're going to be offering a variety of opportunities for them to further engage in meaningful fellowship together. That's something that we heard from them in the strategic planning interviews. They enjoy spending time together and that fellowship that they are blessed with. We're also going to have a refresh program for our young professionals. Next, we will cultivate deeper relationships with the companies donating food to the food bank. And we have refocused how we interact with our food donors, how we partner with them, and how we further engage them and their associates in the work of the food bank. Lastly, we will strengthen our relationships with our financial supporters. We seek always to create more meaningful opportunities for our donors to connect with our mission. We want it to have meaning for them. And this includes a focus on the food bank's endowment fund. And that has grown significantly in recent years. We have now a dedicated staff resources to ensure that our donors are educated about how they can give strategically to leave a legacy in support of the food bank in perpetuity. You also heard about the many ways donors can invest in this campaign, whether it is while checking out at the grocery store or scanning the QR code on the back of your booklet. It's okay, you can do it again. Or even rallying coworkers to participate in a fundraising activity. We want our donors to know how meaningful their gift is and to know they are an essential part of the food bank's mission. And so, in the spirit of Harvest for Hunger, we know that a good harvest can create a thriving community, right? We know that you can't have crops unless you till the soil, you water the fields, you plant the seeds. You have to care for that. And these things are not always a given. They can also be impacted by external forces. And so we know that every single action that we take to care for our investors and to give a little more sunlight to shine on them, the more we can expect a strong harvest. So thank you so much for your contributions as investors. So I'd now like to take a moment to highlight our communities, the next focus of our strategic plan. Our communities represent our 8-county service area and the many collaborators who support local hunger relief in their own communities. This includes our network of nearly 600 food pantries, hot meal sites, shelters, children and senior food programs that are operating and work with us to advocate and engage and convene our stakeholders in our mission. So, to deepen our impact within our communities, we will continue having authentic, vibrant, and open two-way communication with each county that we serve. And we want to ensure that whether rural or urban or rich in resources or struggling to meet basic needs, every community we serve has a consistently high-quality experience with the food bank. We will explore opportunities for deeper engagement and connection through community advisory committees and a partner leadership academy, which is very exciting. These strategies will support a strong foundation of leadership within our network and ensure the voices of our region are present and represented in the work we do when we're making decisions as well. And we plan to increase our advocacy efforts by developing an outreach strategy for local, state, and federal elected officials as we advocate for policies to best serve the people in our communities. So as we deepen our impact within our communities and throughout our geographic footprint, we will forge deeper collaborations, maximize shared infrastructure, expand community connection points, and leverage our scale to best serve our entire region. And so that's 4 of the 5 of our focus areas. And so now I would like to give a warm welcome to the Food Bank's new Vice President to review the final aspect of our plan, She's an amazing human who cares deeply about food insecurity. She shows incredible compassion for the neighbors we serve, and she does so fiercely. Please welcome Katie Carver-Reed to the stage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Colleen. What a lovely introduction. I just feel so special. So great to be here with you all today. And I'm going to wrap up the strategic plan portion of this by talking about our neighbors. Our neighbors are the thousands of individuals, children, seniors, families, maybe your neighbor, who struggle with food insecurity in our community. That's why the food bank exists, and that's why our network of hunger relief partners exist, to serve our neighbors in need. We come together every single day in common purpose to lighten their burden, to help eliminate the difficult decisions so many people in our community are forced to make each and every day. Choosing to pay for rent or utilities or medicine, other basic necessities, instead of nourishing food. Many of you, probably most of you in this room, know someone who struggled a bit these past few years. And our hunger relief partners that are in the room, you certainly know that. You've seen long lines and you've heard the stories firsthand from people in our communities about their experiences who fell on tough times. I was at a local food pantry a few months ago, and I talked to a gentleman, and he was telling me that his gas tank was almost empty, and that he had to decide whether he was going to go to his doctor's appointment to get an MRI, or if he was going to come to the food pantry to get food for his family. He and I met that day because he chose the food, and he told me that he didn't know when he could reschedule that doctor's appointment. So the people that we serve, that gentleman and all of the people that we serve, they're the beating heart of everything that we do. Their health, happiness, and success drive what we do and how we do it. Each person we serve has a unique set of circumstances, and so it's important for us to stay connected with them, to understand their needs a little better, and to try and address those needs in new and different ways. And most importantly, we must maintain their dignity and their respect, because it's not easy to ask for help. I think it's one of the most courageous things someone can do, to ask another person, oftentimes someone they don't know, to ask them for help. So we need to honor people and celebrate their resilience. One of the high points for me working at the food bank is having the privilege to meet and connect with the families that we serve. Being trusted with people's stories is an honor, and it's a constant reminder of why we do this work day in and day out. Because for Roberta, my friend at our distribution, we offer more than just food. We offer a connection to community for her. And for Carrie, it means her tight budget can go just a little bit further. And for so many other friends that I've met along the way, our food bank and our hunger relief partners offer affirmation that they're not in this struggle alone, that there's a community of people behind them to offer love and support. So every one of these meals that we distribute, those 23 million meals last year, every one of them has a story. And before I share a bit more about our strategy to deepen our impact with our neighbors, I'm going to pause so we can listen to one of our neighbors, James, talk about the impact of our work.
My name is James, and I've lived in Canton my whole life. I come from a family that's pretty close-knit. My mother and father, they showed me how to be a person that takes accountability, works for a living, and works hard for a living. As I got older, I started getting into occupations that require some training. I happened to run into a coworker one time. He said, well, take a chance, and if you want to get more training in a certain area, think about the military. And when he told me that, I said, hey, that sounds like a wonderful idea. I was tasked to go overseas, and I was stationed in Germany. Just so happened one particular day we were out running, and we came upon an obstacle course. I got to the point where I had to drop down from a rope ladder, and instead of bending my knees like I should have. I just went straight down and kind of jammed my back and ended up bulging a couple of discs in my back. And that's where I would say a lot of my medical problems started. Because of my injury, working through that, it was tough going, to be honest, at first, but I stuck with it and I was able to overcome, get an honorable discharge, and return to my civilian job that I had left in order to go into that job. I had to remove a component sound stereo system from one of our vehicles, and I had to do it on my own. And I heard my back pop, and then that was that. My injury played a big factor in utilizing these churches and things of that nature. If I was able to get someone to take me directly to the food site, then I would do it like that. One day I was coming out of my complex, and there's a neighbor with a food cart coming in from outside, and I said, "You been to one of the churches today?" He said, "No, I just came from Cherry." I said, "Cherry? What do you mean you came from Cherry? I know they have a food bank over there, but to my knowledge, they don't give out food to the public." He said, "Oh yes, they have a pantry there." And later on that same day, I grabbed a food cart and I came on down. There's at least a 3-mile radius where there's no grocery store even close. 10 minutes and I'm here. It's just wonderful. There's some place in inner city Canton that helps those who are in need when it comes to nourishment and things of that nature. When I come down here, I'm coming into a situation where all the people are familiar. You know, there's a smile here, a smile there, and can I help you, or is everything okay? It's always nice to know that when you come here, you're going to be treated with respect, and you realize that there are people out there that are out there trying to help you. You know, you want to appreciate them. So as far as the volunteers, the donors, the staff, you know, I want to give a heartfelt thank you, because without them, who knows where I would be.
James, thank you so much for your service to our country. Yes, thank you. And thank you for your willingness to share a bit of that journey with us. So to deepen our impact with our neighbors, we plan to listen more intently to the people we serve, soliciting and addressing their feedback all along the way. We'll focus on evaluating and accommodating food needs related to nutrition and culturally appropriate foods, and we'll expand our partnerships, providing services beyond food. We know that if people are seeking food assistance, they may benefit from additional support too. And those additional support services are currently offered at our Stark County campus, along with many of you in this room. And we plan to scale those efforts to our main campus in Akron and across our hunger relief network in the years to come. So that's our strategy, just a couple things, right? And there's a lot of action and a lot of work that's going to go into bringing that plan to life, and you'll see that in the months and the years to come. But I hope if you take one thing away from this plan, it's this: that at the food bank, we believe in the transformational power of relationships, and we're committed to deeper, more meaningful relationships with every person that crosses paths with us. I've had a relationship with the food bank a really long time. Some of you in this room know that I've worked at the food bank almost 11 years. It's over a decade. Feels shorter, but it's a long time. But my relationship with the food bank goes a little further back than that. It goes back to my childhood, before I really even knew what a food bank was. And though I didn't know what it was, I can remember how it made me feel. I remember that time period in my life very vividly. That time when things started to change for my family. I first noticed it when I'd open the refrigerator and I'd see that we had less food in our house. I would go to a friend's house, and you open the refrigerator to get a snack, and you see that it's full and vibrant and colorful. And then I would come home to my refrigerator and open it up, and I would see that it was less full and less colorful. And if we asked my mom, she would sometimes say, "Well, we can go to the store next week," or "We can go to the store around the first of the month." With my dad being absent and my mom working more, we didn't always sit down at the family table and share a meal together. But when we did, I noticed that my mom's plate would be empty, or sometimes she just didn't have a plate at all. And she would tell us she wasn't hungry, but as I got older, I started to realize that she probably was. But she was waiting until my siblings and I were done to be sure we had enough to eat. And I remember when I first moved to Akron-Canton, and this was the first time I went to a school where everyone didn't just automatically get free lunch. So there was a line for kids who could pay for their lunch, and then there was the line for the kids that couldn't. And for a lot of reasons, I really wanted to be in that line where you paid for lunch. For one, it felt to me like they had East of Chicago pizza every single day. Who wouldn't want that, right? But we couldn't pay for lunch, and I knew that. So I was sent off to the free lunch line to grab my little mint green tray. And it did sometimes have pizza on it, but it wasn't the good stuff. And in that line, I felt the gaze of my classmates. And I heard their comments about me and the other people in the free lunch line. And those comments were not positive or affirming. So for me, the early experience of food insecurity and poverty was isolating. I felt disconnected from my friends and my classmates because I felt like I had decades of life experience just crammed into this little life, and they couldn't understand. So I felt alone, and I felt sad, and I felt inferior. But in that time, I also started to feel something else. I started to feel this sense of bittersweetness. I could see and feel the generosity of this community and what it's capable of and how it showed up in my life. In 7th grade, I started to work at the same restaurant as my mom. And I know what you're thinking. I wasn't legally allowed to have a job in 7th grade. I'm aware. But I would go, and I would help with the dishes, and I would bus tables, and the servers would share their tips with me. And the staff there became like an extended family. And so I have to pause and express my gratitude to them, all the former staff at Dante's Pizza and Pasta House in New Philadelphia, for embracing my family as their own. They would send extra food home with us at the end of our shift. And sometimes I think Roger, the chef, would mess up orders just so there was a little extra to send home with us. Ooh, we're getting through it, everybody. My mom was a single parent, working minimum wage and as many hours as she could to support our family of 5. And even though she worked really hard, she's one of the hardest working people I know. She might be watching online, so hi, Mom, if you are. We needed extra help sometimes. And so our family received government benefits, including SNAP, or what some of you may know as food stamps. And these public benefits were certainly helpful, but they didn't always last the entire month. So sometimes we would also receive food from our local food pantry. And I especially remember one year a beautiful Thanksgiving basket from our local Salvation Army that provided a delicious holiday feast for our family and a sense of normalcy. And that Salvation Army is still a partner of this food bank today. This extra support made a huge difference, and it filled in when we needed it. So even at that young age, as I reflected on this support, I felt a warmth and a connection that I feel is only possible when we open ourselves up to the power of community and the power of relationships. I felt seen. I felt understood. And I felt loved. I felt like I had a purpose and a responsibility to give back to a community that had given me so much. And I came to know later that this feeling that I was having, this is what the food bank feels like to me. And all of that, this is the path that led me here to this room and in this moment with all of you. And again, we're so grateful that you're here with us. Events like these are really important. They're an opportunity to see each other and to network and say hi, and that's all great. But they're also a moment to harness our collective power and energy for good, to come together in common purpose and demonstrate our commitment to this community and every person in it. By being here, each and every one of us are showing that we are committed to fighting hunger, that we are committed to serving anyone and everyone that needs our help, without judgment, but with love and admiration. If you need food, this community is committed to nourishing you, body and soul. That's what this breakfast is about. That's what this campaign is about. That's what the food bank is about. And certainly I want you to support this campaign. Those contributions are really important. But there's another way you can contribute to our work, and I hope you'll join us in that too. Join us in creating a community where everyone gets to feel what I've just described. That feeling that even when life is challenging and cruel, and it is, that there's a community of people, of kind strangers, that will support you, that will believe in you, and that will celebrate how hard you've worked to overcome whatever has challenged you. I can't say who I would have become or where I would be without this community. In moments of hardship, I stayed motivated because to whom much is given, much is required. And I hoped that someday I would be able to thank everyone that helped me along the way. And in a way, that's all of you in this room and watching, because by helping your food bank, you've helped me and my family too. And when I talk with the people that we help and we share our stories with one another, they oftentimes tell me the same thing, that they wish they could thank every single person that has helped them. And they want you to know that while they're so grateful for the food, it's about so much more than the food for them. It's about so much more than the food for me. And so with the deepest gratitude from me and the hundreds of thousands of people we have the honor of serving every year, thank you for supporting your Akron-Canton Regional Foodbank. And I'd now like to welcome Dan back for his closing remarks.
Thank you, Katie, for those powerful words that resonate with so many people in this room today. I've heard it called the compassion of the afflicted. Once we've experienced a hardship, we can't help but be empathetic and have a heart for others in a similar situation. And our staff and our board and our network are full of people that have been touched by poverty and hunger and know the power of an encouraging smile, a hug, and a simple bag of groceries. And the transaction at a food pantry might only last a few moments, but certainly the touch of love lasts a lifetime. And I had a lot of encouraging words that written down here that I wanted to share, but we've gone over, and I think I'm just going to leave it with Katie. I think you said it all, Katie. That was extraordinary, and we appreciate you so much. I want to thank you all for coming today. Don't forget to take your parking voucher to the registration table so that you can, to have it ready when you go through the line. Just have your parking voucher ready when you go through the line so it doesn't hold up the stuff in the ramp. Don't forget to get your coordinator kit and goodie bag on your way out. And I'll just really quickly close the program like I close every program. If no one has told you that they love you today, I want you to know that the Akron-Canton Regional Foodbank loves you. You're dismissed. Thanks for coming.